Hey guys, Curious Hobbyist here. Welcome back to my channel. In a couple of previous videos, I designed a model and added it into a game engine called Unity. Today, I'm going to expand on that. Firstly, here's what the gameplay is like. However, I did notice one problem. The spikes in the gap didn't really look normal. They looked kind of broken. So, I tried to examine the spikes in the scene view. From above, they didn't even look like they were there at first. However, when I zoomed in and changed the angle, I then realized that the inner side of the spike's faces are the only part that seemed to show. So, time to inspect the model. In a previous video, I had a problem with this face. The top side of it didn't show. However, the underside was just fine. I tried changing the face color and the issue was solved. This could also apply to the spikes, so let's test that. First, I'll copy and delete the ceiling and paste it later. Now, I'm going to change the fill color of all the spikes. This might take a while. Once I was done, I pasted the ceiling and placed it back on the building. Then, I saved the model and put it into the scene. Then, I examined the spikes and the outer sides still didn't show. This sucks, but let's move on. Next, I'm going to add some extra audio. Firstly, I'm going to use a song from this online game called Icarus Needs. By the way, if you want to play the game, I'll have a link below. Anyways, the one I'm looking for is this sewers theme. However, the game start screen had credits for the game's music creators. These are Day13, LS, and Shorthopper. So maybe it's part of a longer song. In case I want to use it, let's look for that. Firstly, I tried searching for Day13. When I did that, the only relevant results I got were on backpacks. So I then added music to my search term. This time, the only actually relevant result I got was the developer's site. So, let's move on. As for LS, I don't think I'll find anything relevant with it, because it's 2 letters. So, we can safely skip this. So I then searched for Shorthopper, and I did find what seemed to be his music profile. Once I scrolled down, it had 2 pages, which each contained several music tracks. So I tried playing a few sections of all of them, and I couldn't find the sewers theme. So, I just gave up. Instead, I'm going to record the clip through Soundflower into an audio recording in QuickTime. One thing I noticed is the first part of the song sounds just fine. However, the second part was a bit cut off. Interestingly, it also sounds like the first part in reverse. Also, when I saved the clip, the audio was saved in M4A format. The Unity engine doesn't support this. Its supported formats are MP3, HTML5 OGG, Microsoft Waveform, Audio Interchange, MOD Sound Tracker, Impulse Tracker, Scream Tracker, and Fast Tracker 2. Also, I've never used any of the last 4 formats, so it doesn't seem like they're very popular. However, M4A is a type of AAC format, which is clearly widely used, and it isn't supported either by the Unity game engine. To me, that seems like a blurring flaw. Anyway, because of that, I'm going to need to convert this, and I also want to edit and optimize it. I have an idea of doing both these things, and here it is. Firstly, I'm going to create a project in Apple GarageBand. I'm now asked to select a track type. I'll be choosing audio for obvious reasons. So now, I'm going to add the file I just recorded and trim off the beginning to the actual starting point of the audio clip. Then, I'll zoom in and delete the remainder. Also, I like how you can see the sound waves when I zoom in. Anyways, here's how it sounds now. As I mentioned before, the second part of the clip is a bit cut off. However, it also sounds like a reversed version of the first part. So next, I'll separate the clip between those 2 parts and delete the second part entirely. It's incomplete and I don't want it. Then I copied the first part and pasted it in right after the existing instance of it. Then I double clicked on it and noticed an option below for reverse playback. So, as I had it selected, I ticked the reverse box. Now, let's listen back this song again. Yep, just as I thought. The second part is exactly the same as the game, except the end is not cut off anymore. So that small part is now restored. Or maybe it didn't sound like that. I could by chance be wrong, but I don't think so. Why was it cut off to begin with? Anyways, let's move on. The original volume was also a bit quiet. So I'm going to edit the track volume as high as it can go, as well as the overall volume in case that does anything. I'm also going to enable the cycle range and edit the length of that to the same size as both parts combined. That way, I'm now ready for the next step. Finally, I'm going to export the project to an audio file. Here's how. Go to your menu bar at the top left of your screen and select Share, Export Song to Drive. This shows a window with exporting options, like name, system location, and format. Speaking of which, I'm not going to choose AAC. The Unity engine does not support it. Instead, I'm going to choose MP3. I also ticked the box for Export Cycle Range or Selection. This will export only the cycle range, or if I had the regions in the track selected, it would export that instead of the full project length, which in this case was way longer than the actual audio runtime. Then I finally confirmed the export. Now let's listen back the result, just in case. The song plays exactly the same as it did in the GarageBand project. It even stops right at the end of my actual regions. This will be perfect for my project. I'm also using a song from this other game called Alphaland, and this time I was actually able to find the original. Here's how. Complete the game and you might see some credits. In this case, I was able to see the song names. Now, search for the track source and download it. So, with the two songs, I now have the audio taken care of. Okay, back to the project. I now have another idea to fix the spikes. When I made the model, I grouped all of them. So, I'm going to select all of them and ungroup them. What? Did I not right-click? Let's try again. Okay, it actually did this to all the spikes at the same time. Also, I'm going to change their color again. I also changed the overall color of many things in the model, because Unity lighting makes everything look a bit lighter. Okay, save the model and let's test the game. Before I do that though, I'm going to edit the speed of the player movement and running animation, and this will make it look a bit more realistic when it's running, as normally it isn't meant to be seen this closely. That also means the player model is kind of low poly. You can actually see the model's polygons. Anyways, let's see if the spikes are fixed. Well, they are. So, if you still have this problem, I'd also recommend this. Also, the window I made in the building wall casts light on the floor. This is from the directional light. Speaking of which, you can also edit some settings for this. For instance, you can make the model look like it's evening or sunset. To do this, change the color of the light to an orange-red color, and then type 0.5 in the intensity field. You can also make it look like nighttime. For that, change the intensity to 0.25, and then change the color back to white. You can also select this drop-down and then set the lighting type from directional to point. This way, the light will give its ambience directly from its world position all around itself. You can also adjust the intensity and color, just like directional lighting, and you can also edit the range. That's how far it emanates from itself. So now, I'm going to add my two audio clips. Here's how to do that. Firstly, drag the files directly into the project view. Now select the Create drop-down in the Hierarchy view. Point the cursor to audio and select Audio Source. With the source selected, drag over an audio file from the project view to this audio slot. I am using my Icarus Needs audio clip. Now, I want this to play on the tower with the spiral ramp, so I'm going to put it in the center of the tower. Now, let's configure it. First of all, I'm going to set the distance. The max distance is how close any object that has an audio listener component on it has to be to play the audio through your speakers. The minimum distance has to be smaller. Here's why. If the same listener is closer to the audio source, it's going to be louder. If you want the audio to only play when it's in this range, you'll have to do two things. 1. You'll have to set the volume roll-off to linear. 2. You'll need to slide the spatial blend all the way up. Also, this clip is pretty short, so I ticked the loop box. That's also why I optimized the song, so only the actual audio will play, and it's not cut off at some odd place. Clearly, the developer of Icarus Needs didn't pay as much attention to this as I did. I'm also going to move the default ambient audio source to the center of the bridge. I'm going to set the minimum distance to span the bridge, and the maximum will span the ground area. Then I created another source of the Alphaland track. I set the source position to the center of the larger building. Then I set the max distance to span the building. I also set the minimum to half of that. Then I placed the goal at the end of the plank platform. This place is the end of my level model. Okay, now it's finally time to test the game. Firstly, the Icarus music is playing just like I want it to. Then, the ambient noise gets louder at the bridge. And finally, the Alphaland theme is also playing. Now, I can run down to the goal. Anyways, that's about it. In a future video, I'm going to expand the game more, and I'm also going to add additional content to the model. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If so, feel free to like it, share with family and friends, and subscribe for more interesting videos. If you want to be notified of my new uploads, click on the bell that shows after you subscribe. I usually try to upload new videos on Saturdays or Sundays. Also, you can check out my channel. To do that, click on my icon or channel name just below the video. If you have questions or requests, you can let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching.
You